Remember when we gathered in church, when we dressed up for the special occasion of praising God? We could smell the excitement of being together to celebrate. We would spill out onto the street to hold conversations and simply be with one another. Being able to come together to sing and pray and sit alongside one another in our struggles and in our hard times is so important as we try to walk in Jesus' way. We give one another encouragement. We cheer one another on. We laugh together and we weep for one another. When we sing not just for ourselves or even just for God. We sing to move one another on in the Spirit of God. The balance to the groanings of despair are the songs that move us from lament to hope and eventually to joy. Just as God sang creation into being, God gave us voices to sing. I regard singing as the first of the spiritual languages. It is the way angels declare the glory of God. It is the way we pray from the deepest part of ourselves. Renaissance musician Thomas Morley once wrote, "Music is well said to be the speech of angels." Our voices can be used to abuse or to bless. We can say hard things or speak evil, but we can also offer generous words of mercy. When we do, it is, as Shakespeare says, twice blessed. Mercy blesses both the giver and the receiver. When we speak or sing words of mercy, God's blessing abounds. Today is a good day to remember the blessings we have received from others. What encouragements were said to us by those who are no longer here? What stories and experiences shaped us? Those of us who mourn find ourselves remembering snatches of conversations, and we reach out for the words of blessing and comfort. And Jesus promises, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." It is right that we should remember who taught us how to swim, who told us cultural stories that have us looking at night out to a starlit ocean, seeking a phantom drua and thinking of lost lovers. Who held our hands? Who has spoken for us? Who made the garments of our kolavata? Some of those who shaped our lives are still with us, but some have gone to glory. Today we remember them. On this All Saints' Day, I find myself remembering Terry's last Sunday at church. It was the 1st of December. He had come home from hospital the day before, knowing it was the last time. He had come home to die. When I asked him if there was anything left that he still wanted to do, he said, "Yes, I want to go to church to be with my friends." I knew it would be a struggle. He couldn't get out of the wheelchair by then, and I wondered how we would manage. But friends came with us, and he was determined. He wanted to speak to you before he left. He wanted to remind you to persevere in the love of God, and he wanted to bless you. He was grateful for your companionship and love and for your prayers. It was a huge blessing when you paused the service to sing us out. I remember knowing that the Spirit of Jesus, the Comforter, was in your voices and smiles and tears. Your love helped to carry him to heaven, whatever that might mean. When we talk about heaven, we often talk in images. We imagine the scene from Revelation with people from every nation dressed in white, waving palm branches, much like we act out on Palm Sunday. Really though, heaven is a mystery. We are not there, bowing before a throne. We are here, in our living rooms or backyards or on our balconies. How can we bridge the gap between here and heaven? Jesus teaches much about the kingdom of heaven. There are lots of stories and parables. There are 82 mentions of the kingdom of heaven or the realm of God in the scriptures. The concept of heaven is in the Lord's Prayer. It is one of the words we use most often in the Christian faith. When we think of heaven, we think of justice and peace and rightness and blessing. The fulfillment of God's plans, the renewed and perfected creation. The longest of Jesus' sermons is about who is blessed. It seems that blessing is not a sign of who made it, who achieved, and who is perfect. Rather, blessing is for those who suffer ordeals. Blessing and heaven is presented to us as healing and wholeness after suffering. It's a similar idea to what I grew up with in Buddhism. In life we suffer, but enlightenment or living, or for us Christians living in the light of Christ, is what happens beyond suffering. So what does that mean for us? Jesus understood suffering, but also lived a story that went beyond suffering into resurrection. When Jesus instructs us to break bread and share wine and remember, we are to remember the story to come, and the story that has been, and the story of right now. As John writes, we are God's children now. What we will be has not yet been revealed. The story of heaven is not just one of a life to come after this one. We are to live in a way that declares the possibilities of heaven right now. We are to live as resurrection people. John the Baptist declares, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, within our reach. Heaven is yet to be revealed, but the signs of it should appear in us. We are to show in our lives the signs of love and healing and generosity that will blossom into fullness in God. We are meant to become part of God's revelation of heaven in the world. When we capture the vision of heaven as the place where all nations and languages will worship together, surely we are also to aim for that here on earth. I believe we need to learn to worship well in Fijian, and in English, and in Tongan and Samoan, and Hindi and Arabic and Korean and Chinese. We may start to worship in a single language, but we are learning and embedding worship so that we are fit to worship with others in many languages and with an appreciation of many cultures. As bilingual and multilingual people, the people of Parramatta Mission are so well placed. At Parramatta and across the region, we can offer leadership in helping the wider church to learn how to worship in many languages, using the symbols of many cultures. To do that well, we need to develop a deep appreciation of the past and weave our knowledge of culture with the new ingredients of emerging culture. Together, the wonder of the glorious Creator is seen as we bring all languages and musics and dances to reflect the creative spirit back to God. This year, we have faced challenges and opportunities. Offa is working in the Synod as part of a multicultural team. We are part of a multicultural mission, bringing the respect and valuing of the cultures of the Fijian Islands into dialogue with all of the other cultures that are in this place. Truly, we have the opportunity to show a foretaste of heaven. So as we partake together in this meal of communion, along with the faithful in all times and places, in all nations, and in all of our memories, we offer praise to God, and we remember that the heaven that we are heading towards is one of diversity and one of ethnic blends. So let us celebrate together and give thanks.